flags. If you think way back to the beginning of flags, you had a flag for your castle or whatever you want to call it, your group, your community. But it's because people unite around a common purpose, and that flag represents that common purpose. This flag doesn't represent one group of people. It represents all. There's some flags, if you look at the flag, it'll say, okay, this piece represents this group of people, and this piece represents this group of people. This piece, there's flags that do that. This flag represents everyone.
I'm Mark Brooks, and I was the lead designer and a part of the design committee for the new Utah flag.
Okay. I didn't know how to end that one.
Yeah, no, you did. I know, that's perfect, yeah.
I think people care about the flag so much because it represents them, right? This is something that they're going to be able to identify with. I got my start up at Utah State. Shortly thereafter, I started doing interactive design. Worked for an agency up in Ogden, and then decided I want to go for the big guns and decided to move to Chicago, work for a bigger agency, and then ended up through my career and made it my way back here to Utah. So missed Utah so much that I had to come back. So this has been more than a 2-year process. It started with public submission. Once I submitted, I didn't know what was going on. You submit the flag and they're just like, okay. And then the design committee kind of takes over, and they narrowed it down from 5,000 to 100 to 36 to 20. In that 20, I had a couple flags that were in there, a few flags that were in that last 20. And I was like, oh, great, I made it. I made it this far, and then they narrowed it down from 20 to 5, and I had a flag in that design. They took those 5 and we redesigned, and we came up with what we have now from those last couple. So after my design was selected, I worked very closely with the design committee, that we went back and forth. And then we have this. We wanted to take what was there in the Utah flag and simplify it. You have that same blue of the old Utah flag, the legacy flag. You have 5 peaks that represents the mountains here in the valley. You have southern Utah with a little valley here that represents, obviously, the Red Rocks of southern Utah. Because if you look at southern Utah, it's interesting. The mountains down there aren't really mountains, they're valleys. And so you have this part that represents that valley. You have the hexagon that represents, one of the strongest shapes in nature is the hexagon. And that represents the strength, the unity that we have here in Utah. And then you have the beehive that represents industry, our state motto, industry. We have red, white, and blue, and yellow. The blue represents kind of the night skies of Utah. It represents strength. It represents who we are as a people. You have the red that represents southern Utah. It represents that passion. White represents peace. It represents unity. And then the yellow represents prosperity. It represents strength.
Are you just sick at looking at the flag now? I'm sure.
I'm not sick of it yet, but I'm sick of redesigning it. That's for sure. We've tried about every design possible, and it's been fun. But there is a lot. Yeah, right. It's the best part is some of the stuff that's been coming up as memes. Okay. I actually have a bunch of them too, of people that have been like. They'll put inside the flag, they'll put like the first one I saw was green jello. It's like, oh, that's great.
How many, if you were to just ballpark the amount of hours that you worked on this?
Oh, it's well over 100 hours. I mean, we're probably upwards 200 or 300 hours, somewhere around there.
It's pretty gnarly.
It's crazy, the amount of, and then if you look at me versus other people, like, there's far more hours if you look at that. If I was going to boil this down to the flag down to one emotion or one thing, is unity. That's why we did this. It's interesting, when I submitted my proposal, you actually have to submit a design statement, and that's what I put in the design statement of how when you have a flag, everybody can rally behind it. All right, so today was a House committee reading, and it got passed. Thank goodness. Now it goes on to the floor. That's the next step. That's one more hurdle in order to get it to pass. It's been a long, drawn-out process, but we're hopefully this will be the final finish line right now.
Hey, Mark. Hey, good to see you. How you doing? I wanted to introduce you to my daughter, Reagan. Reagan, he designed
Fabulous.
flags.
To understand that this flag might be used 150 years from now is pretty daunting. It kind of blowing my mind a little bit. I've loved every second of it. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it. It's something that I never thought I'd be able to be a part of. I didn't think we would actually get to this point where we can redesign a flag. That doesn't happen very often. So people need the flag, and people like the flag because they like to unite around a brand. So when you're talking about a flag, if you look at good flag design, people unite around that brand because they're proud of it. So to have Utah be able to have a flag that people can unite around, it's exciting. Here's some of the memes. You get a kick out of this. So let's do the seagull.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then there's a, let's see. Oh, this one's funny. So, or this one. I'll get rid of that one too. Yeah, make the MAGA ones. Like all of these are hilarious.